guys, today I'm going to be filming another Chit Chat Get Ready With Me, and this one is going to be focused around the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I recently won this in a giveaway, which was so incredibly exciting, and I want to do an entire palette of the month review video on this, but I do have a couple other things planned that I want to do first. But because this palette is brand new and there's a lot of mixed opinions on it, I wanted to do this video showing it to you guys in action, and at the end I'm going to do a little mini review of basically some of my first impressions. I've used this palette like 3 times so far, but just to give you guys my initial true honest opinions on it, I'm hoping that this video will be good for now, and then as I said, I'll do that more in-depth video a little bit down the road. So just jumping right in, I have a lot of things in my current project pan that I am almost done with, so I'm really hoping that maybe I can finish a couple things off in this video or have one application left. We'll see. So for primer, I'm starting with the CoverFx Illuminating Primer. Gotta contort it a little bit. Squeezed out quite a bit, but that should be enough for my whole face. And I'm just applying this all over. This has a really great lotion consistency that I like because it's easy to blend. Darn, I didn't finish that primer, so I got a couple more applications in there, I guess. And then I've got my MakeUpForEver smoothing primer. I squeezed out all the rest of the product into this little sample jar because it was getting way too hard to work with, and this has been working out well. Really random, but if you guys ever go to a Clinique counter, I highly recommend getting a skincare product or a makeup product in one of their little sample jars, and then once you finish it, clean it out and use it again. These sample jars are so heavy duty, very, very sturdy, really fantastic containers. Just picking up a little bit of this primer, and I'm going to press it into my large pores, which would be here on the side of my nose. So press it and then smoothing over top. So moving on to foundation, I recently finished the foundation in my current project pan, so I want to move on to trying to focus on something else to get some good use out of it, and that would be the CoverGirl Clean Matte BB Cream in the shade 510 Fair. This is too dark for me, so I will be mixing it with my trusty Hard Candy Glamoflague foundation in Porcelain, and I'm going to be mixing these on this little Cosmo Cube mixing palette, which you can get from Sephora. It was really, really affordable, and I actually really like it. I use it every day. So I just make sure I shake up this BB cream so that there isn't any separated product in here. So then I'm just gonna mix it up. I may have gotten a little bit too much foundation, but we will see. So that looks like a pretty good color match for me, and I'm just gonna start dotting that all over my face. So I have actually been pre-filming a bunch of videos because I am leaving for vacation tomorrow, which is July 11th. I am going on vacation to the beach with my mom, my dad, my sister, and Justin, so that's going to be pretty exciting. So I've been trying to pre-film a bunch of videos. Then I'm just taking the Real Techniques Miracle Complexion sponge to blend this out. All of my brushes are dirty because I'm leaving on vacation tomorrow. I'm going to wash them all tonight. At least that is a plan. Let's hope I don't get too lazy. How do you guys feel about the beach? I think that seems to be like everybody's favorite vacation spot. I hate the beach, but because it's a family vacation, you know, I'm going to go. And it's because I hate being outside when it's hot. And my sister can lay in the sun on her back with the sun beating down her face for hours. I can do it for like 10 minutes, and I feel like the sun and the heat is suffocating me, and I just can't deal with it, and then I'll freaking go inside. I do like to get in the water, but sometimes the current is so strong, you're just sitting there fighting with it, and it's not fun. So hopefully this vacation will still be splendid, and it will still just be a nice time to relax and good family time. Hopefully there will be some decent shopping around, and going out to eat is always the part that I like the best. So there is one layer applied all over. I've got a little bit of product left here, so I'm just going to add whatever is left to my cheeks where I have more redness. And I don't think it's necessary to apply a second layer completely all over, just on those certain areas. And this BB cream does give really nice coverage on its own. It's looking a little light. I haven't quite exactly gotten down the mixture to a science yet because it's in a squeeze tube and it's not like a pump. It's harder to measure, but I will certainly get the hang of it. This is going to be the foundation combo I'm bringing with me on vacation, and I am doing a what's in my travel makeup bag video that should be coming up next. So if you guys want to see what I'm bringing with me, I've got that coming for you. So next I'm using another item in my current project pan. This is the Bare Minerals Bare Skin Sheer Sun Serum Bronzer, and I think I'm almost done. So you have to shake it up really good. And then I just try to dot some of this onto the back of my hand. Got a big kerplop of product on my phone. That's okay, I will just wipe it right off. To apply it, I'm going to use the Pure Cosmetics Cameo Contour Sponge. You can use the regular Beauty Blender or any Beauty Blender dupe where it has the rounded edge. The Real Techniques one doesn't have a rounded edge. And I am just picking up the product here, and I am going to apply this right into the hollow of my cheeks and then blend over it. This, I think, is the most gorgeous, beautiful, subtle bronze. And I just picked off what was on my phone because we are not wasteful over here. We're just nasty. This is getting so hard to come out. I'm so excited. That might mean that I'm almost done. So doing the same thing on the other side, picking this up, putting it in the hollow of my cheek, and then just blending. It looks so freaking natural and so pretty. I'm contemplating purchasing this in the full size because I like it so much, but I'm wondering if I would be using this if it wasn't in a project pan. So I'm not in too much of a hurry to buy it, but it is on my wish list. I know that Wet n Wild has some cushion products, and I know they have a bronzer. I'm thinking maybe I can try that. I know it's like a different concept, but if I really do have a hankering for a liquid bronzer, maybe I can try that since it is a lot cheaper. If you guys have tried that, let me know what you think. So now I just got a little bit more out, and I am going to apply this really lightly around my hairline. I definitely want it to look more natural here, so I'm using like half of the amount of product. So moving on to corrector, I use a combination of two products. I'm using the Lorac Porefection Concealer in Light, which is pretty light, and it is extremely yellow, which is what I like to use for correcting because I don't have a ton of darkness under my eyes. And then because this is a little bit too dark for me, I take the Kat Von D Lock It Concealer Cream in the shade Whiteout, and I'm gonna apply 3 little dots right underneath so that I can mix it all together, and it will help lighten it, but not lighten it too much, because if it lightens it too much, then it's gonna be more brightening instead of correcting. And I'm gonna blend that out with the Morphe E8 brush, which I think is called Detail Contour maybe. I bought this brush because Katie from Luster Lux was using it for her under eye concealer and really, really loved it. And it just blends out so quickly, so easily and nicely. I really, really love this brush for this step. I tried using a beauty sponge, and I didn't like it as much because it was shearing out the coverage, and it makes it look almost a little bit patchy for some reason. But with the brush, it works really well, and I hardly ever prefer a brush, but definitely with this concealer combo and this brush, it is just perfection. So now that that is all corrected, I'm going to be taking my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in Fair. I'm starting to really be getting low on this, which is scary because this is very expensive. So I'm going to be wiping off a little bit of product into the bottle, and then I'm going to be doing just like a little check mark, little Nike swoop here. Then I'm going to do a little left-hand person check mark on the other side. And I don't fill it in because it's not necessary. This concealer is so pigmented that I will take it down the center of my face here. Then I'm going to blend it out with the Real Techniques Miracle Mini Eraser Sponge. You could use the regular big foundation sponge, but because I have this, I've been really enjoying using it. So I'm going to blend it out, this concealer in the center of my face first. Then moving on to the Nike Swoop. As I said, I don't fill this area in because this concealer is so pigmented. I don't think it's necessary. I think you're going to end up looking cakey and waste a lot of product. So I like to apply it down here and then blend up towards under my eyes. That way I have the least amount of product right underneath my lash line, so that area doesn't look heavy and cakey. So I'm just blending right over top of where I applied it first, and then just working up under my eye, making sure to get in my inner corner. I'm gonna set my under eye concealer with the Wet n Wild Fergie Mattifying Take in the Day powder. I'm almost done with this. And my Morphe E48 brush. This is really good for applying under eye powder that is pressed. For loose, I like to use a sponge. So just picking up a good bit of this and pressing it right into my under eyes. Now that my under eyes are set, I'm going to be setting my face with the RCMA No Color Powder, which I have put in different packaging. I'm going to apply it with the Real Techniques powder brush. I just like using this big fluffy brush with loose powder because I just want to set my face. I'm not trying to pack on coverage, and I'm not going to get coverage with this powder. And this usually does make a bit of a mess, so I'm sure I'm going to get it all over my black shirt and just pressing it into my skin. Now I'm going to move on to bronzer and contour. For the summertime, I actually like to use a warm bronzer and a warm contour. I know, contouring with something warm, that is just unheard of, but I think it actually looks really good in the summer. So for bronzer, I'm going to be using the Milani Matte Baked Bronzer in the shade Sunset, which was limited edition, unfortunately, but I will see if I can find this on eBay or Amazon for you guys, and I'm going to apply it with the e.l.f. stippling brush. If you guys have fair skin and you want to wear bronzer, you totally can, but I recommend using a stippling brush because it will just help you get the perfect amount of color. So I like to start in the hollow of my cheek so I have the most concentrated color here. Then I'll work up towards my hairline. And then whatever is left on my jaw, I don't concentrate a lot of product here because for me, I'm just afraid of it looking too unblended and unnatural. So I don't really focus on that too much. Doing the same on the other side, and I'm not picking up a ton of product. And then hairline here. To contour, I'm going to be using the Milani Matte Baked Bronzer in the shade Sienna, which is also warm as you can see, but it is darker than the other shade. And I'm going to contour using my Sigma F05 small contour brush. Just picking up a little bit of product, tapping off the excess, and then going right in the hollow of my cheek. And I told you guys before, because I'm fair, I do not apply contour anywhere else, just in the hollows of my cheeks. And I am going to blend all this out, but I don't mind having a strong cheek, but I certainly don't want big blocks of bronzer on my forehead. Taking the Real Techniques blush brush, I'm just going to blend here over top of the contour. I cannot believe that back in the day I used to use this brush to bronze. I also use this brush to bronze. What was wrong with me? You need to have a freaking huge face to be using these to bronze, or you need to be really tan and using a light bronzer, because if you're pale like me, like freaking no. I can't believe I was doing that. No, no, no. No wonder my bronzer looked crazy. So now for blush, I picked out a color that I think will go really nicely with the eyeshadow, and this is the Becca Mineral Blush in Songbird, which is a terracotta color, and I'm going to be applying it with my Sigma F15 Dual Fiber Blush Brush. This blush is so freaking pigmented, you need to be super careful in general, but especially if you're fair, which is why I like using the Duo Fiber Blush Brush. So literally like, boop, and then tap off the excess, because these are really powdery blushes as well. And then I just like to blend mine on the backs of my cheeks. This is a really pretty color. I've actually had it in my collection for a while, and then I moved it to my declutter pile because I thought it was just way too much for my skin tone. And it definitely can be if you don't apply it very meticulously, but I decided to pull it out again, and I actually really like it. I just have to be very careful. So moving on to highlighter, I am going to be using the Estee Lauder Pure Color Gelée in the shade Heat Wave. It's just a gold highlight. There are a million dupes for this. You definitely don't need this one. And I am going to apply it with the Real Techniques setting brush. I was lucky enough to find this at a CCO bazillion years ago when it was just first starting to get popular, so I got very lucky with that. But like I said, it's not necessary. There's Wet n Wild dupe, Laura Geller, like 1,000,001 dupes for this. It's just a gold highlight, which I usually cannot wear in my skin tone. I can only get away with it in the summertime, even though I don't really get tan in the summer. I don't know, that's the only time of year that I wear it. But it is a really pretty product. The last thing I'm going to do for my face is set my makeup. I like to do it now instead of later. I definitely don't want to do it after my mascara because then it will just create a mess. I am using the Scandinavia Oil Control Makeup Finishing Spray, but it's just in different packaging. So I'm just gonna spritz some of this. Oh, don't you play me, girl. So I'm going to apply my brows off camera. I'm going to do one eye and then I'll be back to show you how to do the eye look. So for my brows, they're looking really thick today, but I just used the Milani brow pomade in the shade number 2 Natural Taupe. This is something that I want to start trying to use up. And I have already applied my eye primer and set it with a base shadow. I'm using the Milani eyeshadow primer, and I set my crease with the Wet n Wild Single in Brulee and my brow bone with Matte Malloy from the Balm Meat Matte Nude palette, which is just a matte white. From the Naked Heat palette, I'm going to be taking this shade right here, Sauce, and my Sigma E40 tapered blending brush, and I'm going to be applying this as my transition shade. And I am applying this right above my crease, blending back and forth. This is a really nice light shade for me, so I can take this one up a little bit higher. Next, I'm going to take the shade Low Blow with the same Sigma E40 brush. I'm going to apply this also as my transition color, but pull it down a little bit lower than the first shade. And then just concentrating this a little bit lower, more in my crease or right above, just, you know, not taking it as high. And depending on your skin tone, you might use one or the other or a mixture of both for this. So now for the lid, I'm going to apply a cream shadow base, which is what I do with literally all of my eye looks except for ColourPop Super Shock shadows. So that isn't to say that the pigment or anything like that is bad on this palette. I'm going to be taking the Mally Shadow Stick Extra in the shade Autumn Shimmer, and I'm just going to apply this all over my lid. I'm going to be taking this shade right here, Lumbre, and applying it on my lid with my MAC 239 flat shader brush. And I am just going to pack this all over my lid. This is such a really beautiful color. And I just went in with a second layer to put on top to just really intensify the color of this shade. So pretty and metallic. So next I'm taking the shade Cayenne with my MAC 286 Duo Fiber Taper Blending Brush, and I'm going to apply this into the outer part of my crease and then just feather it into the inner part of my crease. So just starting in the outer part so I can have the most concentrated product there, and then I am just blending towards the inner part of my crease, gently with whatever product is left so we have a nice soft fade. Then I'm going to take the shade in Fuego with the same MAC 286 brush, and I'm going to apply this in my outer corner and blend it into my outer crease. And I am just placing it right here in this outer part. Then I'm going to take this Beauty Junkies Pro Taper Blending Brush that has no product on it, and I'm just going to blend over my crease. Then just to clean up the outer edge of this look, I'm going to take Wet n Wild Brulee. You can use any eyeshadow or face powder that matches your skin tone. I'm going to apply it with the Sigma E45 Small Tapered Blending Brush. Just picking up some of this eyeshadow and then just going kind of diagonally right at the corner of my eye to help clean up the look. And that is all for the eyeshadow. I am not going to apply any liner, but I will apply mascara and be back to show you what's going on my lips. So now the eyes are all complete. For mascara, I use the Urban Decay Perversion and the Too Faced Better Than Sex mascaras. So for lips, I could basically go with any kind of nude, but I want to use something new that I just got from my friend Amanda. This is a ColourPop lippy stick in the shade Parker. This looks like a really nice light peachy brown nude that should go really well with this look. Yes, I think that looks really nice. I really love the matte finishes of these ColourPop lippy sticks. This is a color that's been on my wish list for forever, so it was awesome that Amanda sent this to me. So guys, this is the finished look using the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. And now I'm going to give you my little mini review on this. So if you guys have the other Urban Decay Naked palettes, which I do, I have Naked 1, 2, and 3. I don't have the Smoky. You guys know that in those palettes, there's 1, 2, or 3 mattes. And the biggest complaint from a lot of people is that they wish there were more mattes. Well, this palette has mostly mattes. You have 7 mattes, 1 satin shade, and then you do have 4 metallic shades. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I love that this is a mostly matte palette that does have a lot of metallic shades. So to talk about the formula of these shadows, the formula is definitely different on this one than the other Naked palettes, but I think it is better. This one has a little bit of kick up, which I think actually works well for this palette because that makes the eyeshadows a little bit more pigmented and more blendable, but it doesn't have a ton of kick up like the Modern Renaissance or like any of the Lorac Pro shadows. This is so much easier to work with. It's less messy. It blends really well without over blending, which is a problem that I have with the Lorac Pro shadows. And I'm actually really impressed with the formula of these. No, I have not tried every single shade yet. When I do my entire palette of the month review video, I will have tried every single shade, so I can let you know that. So another con a lot of people have about this palette is that they think that all the shades are looking almost identical to each other, and a lot of these colors are very similar, or just different variations, have slightly different undertones, a little more orange, a little more red, and that's definitely true. These colors are really similar. And also, I don't think Urban Decay does themselves any favors when they have the color of the packaging look just like the eyeshadow colors. I found that to be the same with the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. Because the packaging was the same color as the shadows, it just looked like one big blob of mauve. And for some people, this looks like one big blob of orange. So these two shades right here are very similar. These two shimmer shades are definitely very similar. These two shades and this one, similar, totally agree with. But on my skin tone, these each show up as distinctively different shades. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that I am almost as white as a sheet of paper. So colors, especially eyeshadow, just shows up true to color in my skin tone. So it's a really great warm palette for me. I'm very impressed with the formula. So for me, I can justify having this and the Modern Renaissance because I think that this is more of an orange palette, while Modern Renaissance is more of like a mauve berry palette. And I overall really like this palette. I like that they improved the formula, that it's more pigmented, it is more blendable, really easy to work with. I also love that they included a lot more mattes. I think that means Urban Decay is listening to us and what we want. And I do think that this was a good addition to their line because, yeah, I guess the original Naked palette is supposed to be the warm one, but if you look at it, it isn't very warm, especially compared to this. So I do think that this was different for Urban Decay's line. Are there a million warm shadows out there? Absolutely. Do you probably already have a dupe for all of these shadows? Absolutely. And you probably have them in other random palettes or in single form. So this isn't a necessity for everyone. I'm really happy with the formula. I'm really happy with all of these colors. I think they're beautiful. I think I will reach for this a ton, but this probably isn't necessary for everyone, especially if you aren't a huge warm eyeshadow lover. Then you definitely don't need this, and you can just get a couple warm single shadows, or you can buy the Peanut Butter and Jelly palette from Too Faced or the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. So I know that there have been mixed opinions on this, and maybe some of the shades aren't swatching the best, but they all apply so well in the eye, and they are not patchy at all for me. So I am actually very impressed with this formula, and I absolutely love this palette. So those are my quick thoughts on it. As I said, I will be doing an entire palette of the month video, but it won't be for a little bit, but I will have tested out every single eyeshadow, and I will give you more in-depth thoughts on it. So guys, that was my chit chat get ready with me using the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, and I also gave you a little mini review there at the end. I would love to know your thoughts if you guys have picked up this palette or if you're thinking about doing that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.